Hello, this is Resin Jen, and I'm going to show you a few simple things that we can make with resin for beginners. It's very easy. I learned myself not too long ago, and one of the things that you want to keep in mind is safety. That's always the most important thing, so you want to be sure that you have your gloves and that you have long sleeves. If the resin gets on your skin, it can be toxic, and also it's flammable, so it's a good idea to wear long sleeves and also long pants. Also, you need your safety goggles, and you need a respirator that is rated for organic fumes. For the purpose of my videos, I am not going to wear the mask because you won't be able to hear me. So anyway, today I am going to do this little kitty moon project. And also I'm going to show you how to remove old resin and glitter from the molds. Sorry, my brain's not really working this morning. So first I want to show you how to remove the old resin and glitter from the mold. Take some packaging tape. This is my favorite one. It's the Max, Dark Max. I use it because whenever I make necklaces and other things like that, it sticks well. Anyway, I'm just pushing the tape into the mold here, and I'm just pushing it up to the side, and then I lift it up, and as you can see, it sticks pretty well. That's one way to do it. And also, if you can turn your mold inside out, that does help. But I don't know if that really wears on the mold long term. I'm not sure because I haven't been doing that for this long, but for very long. But anyway, I always have these ideas that I want to try. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. But anyway, you just keep doing this with your tape, and it normally does get all those little pieces off. Just glitter can be the bane of a lot of people's lives. Okay, that's pretty clean. The tape worked with that. And you could also use soapy water, but be sure that you're not actually flushing any resin down the sink. You want to throw the cured resin away because that is not something that we need leaching into our groundwater. Okay, so next, I'm going to show you this little kitty moon mold for Halloween. I am going to, it's early in the morning, so just excuse me for a second here. I'm actually going to just grab this little thing that we just cleaned out and making sure it's actually pretty clean. Okay, because I don't want to get anything in there that shouldn't be there. I'm going to grab my Lupus Resin Clear UV Resin Hard Type Thin, but really you can use whatever resin that you feel is best. I did watch several videos and a few reviewers that had reviewed different resins, and I felt like this resin was going to be the best one for me to use, and I'm glad I did because it has never given me any problems. So anyways, let's get started. First thing I'm going to want to do is put some resin, and this is just a mess because I'm messy, so don't mind my bottle here. That's me, Messy Jen. I'm going to squeeze just a little bit into my cup here. Put the lid back on that because we don't want the sunlight over there. I'm out in my garage where you should always have good ventilation, and I have my wide open garage, so there's plenty of fresh air coming through here. So for this one, I just have this is only some glow-in-the-dark powder that I got from one of those nail places online. I don't remember which shop I used. It could have been OfferUp or something like that, but anyway, I'm just going to take a little. It doesn't take very much. Oops. I'm just messy. See, I'm just going to take a tiny bit. I definitely do not want to use all of this. Because I want to make more and don't really want to feel like going to the craft store to get more. I don't even know if they have it. But anyway, and after I add that glow-in-the-dark powder, I usually like to put some glitter or some mica in there as well. Probably not the mica. Let's get some glitter. And for this, I'm going to use some crystal diamond glitter that I think I got this from Walmart. I can't remember though. Oh, well anyway, it's been sitting there for a while, so I'm just shaking it up a little bit. But not too much. Oh, well that was definitely too much. And we'll just deal with it, see how it goes. Can always add more resin. And I'm just going to use my stick here to stir it up. And as you can see, it's pretty thick. It's a lot of glitter. And the thing is, whenever you use a lot of glitter with UV resin under the UV lamp, it can, I don't know how to explain it. It can kind of warp, I guess you could say, because of the metal glitter pieces or whatever it is they're made of. So just be aware of that. And I definitely use too much glitter, but we will see how this goes. I'm always doing experiments and I never know how it's going to turn out. So let's just go ahead and put this in here and see how it goes. Oh, and yeah, that's not how I do that usually. I'm gonna get a little toothpick here and kind of move it into the areas of the mold where I actually want it. And I'm gonna kind of gently wipe away any that is in areas that I do not want it. And I just put that on my little mat there. It'll dry. And actually, if I don't, since the sun is kind of filtering in here a little bit, I actually need to be kind of careful that this actually doesn't cure before I'm done, because this, even though it's not direct sunlight, it will begin curing on me. So I don't want to take too long, but I do want to be careful. Pull some of that extra that I just glopped on the cat there and pull it around to the moon. And the little place that's going to be the hole for the chain or some rope or whatever. And I'm just kind of going along here. Here in a second, we're going to get the lighter. I don't use any kind of blowtorch or anything because that can be kind of too much for these resin molds. So in order to make sure that there aren't any bubbles, which for something this small, I'm not sure that it really matters that much really. But I'm just kind of cleaning up around the edge because I don't want, it'll not look good if it's outside of where it's supposed to be. And I will show you another trick here in a second that I like to use a lot when I'm working with resin. Okay, so to make sure that there aren't any bubbles in my stuff, you cannot, whenever you use any kind of heat, you do not want to stay in one place for too long. Because you can melt your mold, and also depending on what you use, especially with the alcohol inks, which I haven't used yet with this project anyway, you really want to be careful that you're not setting yourself on fire and removing your eyebrows or your clothes or whatever. So you want to be really careful and just do a quick swipe with the heat. So I'll show you that now. There's a little bubble here, and we're just doing that real quick. And you can wait and see if there's going to be any more bubbles that rise to the top. Sometimes I kind of bang on the table or bang on a piece of the mold that doesn't have the resin in it. Or sometimes I'll even pick up the mat and kind of drop it a couple times and to get any bubbles up. But with this piece, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I saw one bubble and I think I got it out. I'm going to make one more pass. Well, I do see another one coming up in this corner over here, so wait another second here. Might actually need to use my toothpick here to get that one, because this, I made it really thick. Oh, that might not be a bubble, but anyway. Now, I will show you what I do next. I'm going to put this way out of the way so that the light does not cure the stuff that I have not used yet. The resin. So, I turn this way just a little bit so I can show y'all this, because the cord doesn't reach very far. So I'm just gonna move that way. Yeah, there we go. And I have this 75 watt UV LED nail lamp, and I'm just gonna push this button for 60 seconds. And I always push that button a couple of times in the process, and then a lot of times I will flip the mold over and do it again, and then also again, once I pull it out, I might do it another time or two depending on how the piece is feeling. You can already see under there where I spilled some of that. And the other thing I like to do, especially if I'm doing this at night, is I will take a used cloth that has all kinds of resin stuff on it already, and I like to drip it over that because that light is bright and I don't like it in my eyes at all. And that way it'll also protect me from the UV light, especially if I'm going to be working with it for a while. I'm going to push this again. Today I'm also going to be making some type of a necklace thing. My son wanted me to put this rock into some type of necklace. Normally with something like this I would do wire wrapping, but I'm going to experiment with actually putting it into resin somehow. I'm not sure how just yet, but I do have some ideas, and I will show you how that goes later. We have 15 seconds left on this one. And as I was just saying, this one that I'm using is the Sun 5 Pro 75 watt UV LED nail lamp. You probably could get away with using a lamp that has less wattage, but it'll take a little bit longer for your items to cure under a lesser lamp. Okay, let's see. You can kind of see how the color from being glow in the dark and seeing all the glitter that I put in there. And whenever I go like this, my gloves don't stick to it. So I feel safe pulling it out, and I just check the other side as I'm pulling it out, and it does seem done. It does have some rough edges that I'm gonna need to take care of. But actually with this one, because I did notice that these can be pretty fragile actually. Let me put this back over here for a second. So what I'm actually gonna do this time, which I might not even need, well, I don't know, we'll see. I should have left that in there. See if I can get that back, oh, where it belongs. See, these are actually really fragile. So what I am gonna do this time, which I hadn't done before, is I want to go ahead and dome this. And that's another little trick that I will show you real quick about doming. But with resin pieces, you really have to be careful not to make an item too thick or it will not cure properly. So let's go ahead and dome this. I haven't decided yet how exactly, but we'll figure it out. Just put plenty of resin on there like that and put the lid back on that. And I just remembered something, that you actually do need a level workspace, and it looks like my workspace is not exactly level. So I'm just going to turn it this way so that some of that will flow. And you just pull it right around to the edge. And I'm just using clear. You can use other colors too if you want, and it'll make it really pretty. If you use like a black or blue background or something, whatever you want. But this way it can be seen. If I use the clear, it can be seen from both sides. So, and I plan on using the clear on the other side as well. And I want to make sure that I get an even, and it's not jagged on the edge or whatever, so I'm making sure that I get it all the way around the edge to the edge, but not over the edge. And so it just has like a little curve lip there, and that is called doming. Now that I finished that part, I'm gonna put this down over here and take this back over to the UV lamp. Like I said, it does both UV and LED, so regardless of whether you get UV resin or LED resin, this lamp will work for both of those. A little later, I'm thinking about making the video showing how to use 2-part resin. And that's a completely different thing. The good thing about the UV resin is that it doesn't have nearly the smell that the 2-part resins normally do. And I know some are better than others, but even if you cannot smell it that much, it is still in the air and is still toxic, no matter what the company claims. So be sure to protect yourself, be in a ventilated area, wear your mask, your gloves, long sleeves and long pants, and shoes. And let's go for that one more time. another thing that I'm thinking about making today, and of course, as you can see, this mold here is opaque and it has a shiny. So whenever you pull it out of there, the surface will be shiny. If you get a mold that is not shiny on the bottom, then the surface will not be shiny. So that's important to remember when you're shopping for molds. The other thing is that this is definitely a two-part mold. That was my point about it being opaque, is that opaque molds are for two-part, because generally the resin won't cure very well if you use UV resin in these type of molds. It needs to be a clear mold if you are using the UV resin. Here's one example of a clear mold. Well, it's not really clear, but the light can still pass through it. And it is shiny, as you can see. But, however, this is a coaster mold. And really, depending on what you're doing, if you're going to use UV with something this big, just do a thin layer. That's about all you could do. Really, coaster molds, you really need to use the two-part resin to make coasters. It won't, because trust me, it will not turn out right exactly if you don't. The larger projects just really need the two-part. The smaller projects, like the one that I am working on now, only needs, see, you never know what this is going to do. It pulled in on this side a little bit for some reason, but like I said, you just never know what it's going to do under there, but it's not bad. See? Now it's much more sturdy, but what I'm also going to do is oh, it's hot too, so be careful when you pull it out from under the lint, because it's going to be hot. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to dome the other side as well and make it more sturdy. And hopefully this will work and not just run off the side. We might have to do it in parts. Yeah, that's probably a safer thing. We'll see. You have to be very careful that it does not run over the side, or else it's just going to be more difficult to deal with. And it's already trying to do that over there. I'll just take some of that and pull it this way with my toothpick. I always like to have a lot of toothpicks on hand because I use it for every single project, and also the craft sticks. And this is not a silicone mat because they're actually in the sink, because I need to wash the glitter off of them. But let me get this up here too. But anyways, you really need to use something with resin. Your work surface needs to be protected from the resin, so you really need to use something like a silicone baking sheet or other type of silicone mat, so that the resin does not stick to it once it is cured, and you can easily peel it off, like the mold that I just showed you earlier. Now, whenever you get like alcohol inks or something like that, that might not come off of those mats, silicone mats, but may not come completely off. Just a disclaimer there. And you really need to, like I said, be sure that you're protecting your health. Don't attempt this if you do not have all the proper materials. Okay. Actually, whenever I dome the other side, I forgot to get the bubbles out, so you can kind of see a couple bubbles in there. But I'm going to go ahead and get the bubbles out of this side. And that'll be fine. I'm just gonna kind of gently push that over that way towards that, because the cord doesn't reach very far. It'll be done soon. Actually, it does take a little bit of work. I might need to shorten this video a little bit by cutting some parts out that are a little long, but what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my Dremel tool here. Dremel tools are awesome. Dremel. I never really knew before this how to use a Dremel tool, so I'm still not really sure if I'm really even using it right, but I absolutely love it. It's just absolutely my favorite tool, hands down. It's very useful. Also, you know, whenever you're using that Dremel to file the edges, it's much faster than using a nail file, which you can do, or using sandpaper by hand. You just need to be sure that you're still wearing your mask, because you do not want to breathe all that dust that you would be creating in the air. That's the most important thing, is your safety and your health. So be sure that you are taking all of these precautions that I've told you about in the video. And this is almost done under here. It just has 30 more seconds to go. And then I will kind of roughly show you how I use the Dremel tool. And if I really feel like it needs it, I might still put some more resin, like along the edges, to kind of smooth away any roughness from sanding it. Okay, that's done. And as you can see, it looks pretty good, but I'm just gonna, well, I'll show you here. Looks all right. Let's see. I know the other thing I need to do is probably take a tiny little thing over there and drill the little hole so that we could put the cording through there. With little things like this that is just going to go to kids for Halloween, you could just use some black elastic cording, and that works perfectly. So like I said, I'm not an expert at all, and I don't even know if I even have this in here right, but just gently kind of, it's like I said, it's much faster than doing it other ways. Just gently put that up to that to get kind of the pokey edges off. And you don't have to put more resin in there if you don't want to, but it just kind of finishes off a little better. I'll put this over here so you can kind of see. I think there's actually something wrong with my Dremel, because it starts off slow and then it gets faster and faster. I don't know why. Maybe it's supposed to do that and I just didn't realize it. Because like I said, I have zero experience using a Dremel. I'm just gonna go right in here gonna get rid of some of that extra right there by the eyelet thing. You can see sometimes it slips and it's easy to do, so you have to be careful, very careful. And like I said, you want to protect your airway and your eyes while you're doing this. Okay. Alright, let me do it a little bit more over here so to even it out. It's a little bit more even. You can be a little bit of a perfectionist sometimes. And then sometimes I find the more I work on it, the worse it gets. So I just have to balance it. Keep it a balance. Okay. So if you wanted to go ahead and wipe that off with the towel. If you wanted to make these edges smooth, like I said, you could put more resin on there. And the way that I would do that so that we're not making more of an edge that we need to clean up is I would just take the tip of this and just kind of just do one side at a time, kind of put a tiny bit of resin on there like that and hold it under there hold it under the light during that time. And then when that's done, you can turn it over and do the other half and put it under there till that's done, and then you have a finished piece. And one more thing that I will show you is a tool. You could either use the Dremel or, let's see if I can find it real quick. This tool here, so it has a pointed end. Let's see if I can. I don't know if you can really, yeah, there you go. So that you can just go into this little hole right here for your cord. This is one way of doing it. It's not the definitely not the easiest way, but it's a way. You could do this without Dremel at all. This whole thing. See, it also works as a file too. You can kind of file the edges and make them a little bit more smooth if you need to. But right now I'm trying to get that hole through there, and here it comes. See, it's starting to come through there. See if I can turn it so you can see it. Yeah, now you can see it. So I'm going to do the same thing to this side so that the hole will be big enough for the cord, because the cord is going to be wider than fishing line that I sometimes will use also, that I like to use with jewelry projects, like such as beading. And as you can see, it has a nice hole through the top. And I'll spare y'all the edge fixing process. And then if I feel like my project is still kind of had picked up too much dust from all of that, I will take an alcohol wipe and clean it off. And it does perfectly. Works perfectly. of course, until I get more dust on it. But anyway, there it is. It's a glow in the dark, so whenever I'm gonna go inside in a minute, but you can kind of see the little glow in the dark stuff already, even though it's bright out here. I hope y'all enjoyed the video.